BJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined right now by one of our favorites, the radio play-by-play voice of the Utah Mammoth, Mike Folta. And Mike's appearances are brought to you by Hercules First Federal Credit Union, growing stronger together.
That's poolside Mike Folta.
You would hope so, man. Florida in January, if he's wasting this opportunity. First, he's probably on the phone yelling at the commissioner for making this a back-to-back. Hey, I need a little downtime in Florida, commish. Come on.
That's right. Hey, guys, do I look tan? I was trying to make sure I bronzed up a little bit for my radio appearance with you guys.
I like the video you did in Nashville. That was awesome.
Oh, so here's the thing, right? Because it's snowing in Nashville. And which is a bummer because, you know, all the honky tonks are closed. There's really nothing, fun to do. There's no sights to see when it snows in Nashville. And they had to move our game on Saturday ahead 2 hours so that we could get out of Dodge, basically. Yeah. And I know the schedule. I know that Tampa Bay, sunny and 75, is waiting for us after Nashville. And when we get done with that game, guys, I throw my headset down. There's no post-game crosstalk like we normally do. I am sprinting to the bus and trying to rally the troops so that we can
let's go.
Get on the plane and get to Tampa Bay. And we're sitting on the tarmac as the snow and sleet's coming in down in Nashville. And I'm like, oh my God, we're not going to make it. We're going to get stuck in frozen Nashville. And luckily, by the grace of God, we made it out. I was poolside Sunday afternoon in Tampa Bay, and all was well. But there were some teams that didn't make it out. The LA Kings are stuck in Columbus, or were. There were, I think Tampa even got delayed. They didn't get out of Chicago till 3 a.m. But some crazy stuff, obviously, over the weekend with the weather. And we're laughing. We're laughing at it here in beautiful, sunny Sunrise, California. It's a cool 68 outside right now.
I like it.
Brisk. Well, the streak is over. Are you worried about that? Or, hey, sometimes the puck doesn't bounce your way. They played the right way, and the key isn't about streaks. The key is to be really good in 7, 8, 9 out of 10 games, and every once in a while, whatever. But play the right way, whether the puck bounces your way or not.
Yeah, I mean, Utah played a heck of a game last night in that loss that you said broke up the point streak. Mammoth had points in 9 straight before losing 2-0 last night to the Tampa Bay Lightning. I should say they lost 2-0 to Andrei Vasilevsky, who it's basically been him and Connor Hellebuck, who are kind of in a class of their own goaltending wise the last several seasons, ever since Hellebuck became a full-time number one in the NHL 9 years ago. He leads the league in wins, save percentage, goals against, all the big statistics that we track for NHL goaltenders. And he blanked Utah last night. We talk about analytics sometimes on this show. I know you guys are big numbers guys, but our friends over at SportLogic who track the expected goals, right? Based on the quality and the quantity of chances that you create, how many goals do the analytics folks expect you to score? The Mammoth had over 4 expected goals last night and scored 0. Analytics, be darned, whatever. That is a jarring discrepancy compared to what we typically see, where you have a 4-goal gap between expected and actual. So Utah did a lot of great things. Andre Tourigny said as much in his post-game presser last night. You just didn't score against one of the best teams in the NHL. And I think when you have 2 teams that are playing at a high level, 2 really good teams, for example, if the Mammoth make the playoffs and have to play a really good team in round 1, you have 2 good teams. The difference is in the details, and the difference last night was in special teams. The Tampa Bay Lightning scored a couple of power play goals, and another big difference can be in goaltending. And Karel Vejmelka was great for Utah last night, but Vasilevsky was perfect.
That's what it boils down to. The other night, man, Clayton Keller was such a fun game against Philadelphia to see what he did there to tie it up with just under a minute to go, and then the overtime win. And you look at him, and he's on a roll, 17 points in the last 12 games in the month. I'm wondering, you want to win no matter what you're doing. That's obvious. But the opportunity to be on the Olympic team, how much do you think that was driving him? Because last year there was some disappointment. And now, you can argue clearly that he's playing the best he's ever played and is going to have this opportunity.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, PK, because last year when he didn't make the Olympic team, you look at his numbers basically after the announcement when he's all mad, and you look at his numbers before the announcement. And I'm going off the top here, but I did the math myself, so I'm pretty sure I got this right. But he was on like a 70-point pace last year before the Four Nations announcement. After the announcement, he was on a 100-point pace. So his scoring and production dramatically picked up after he learned that he was not on the Four Nations team for Team USA. We've seen kind of the same thing happen, but in a more positive light, where he did make the Olympic team. He found out on New Year's Day. The official announcement was January 2nd, but he found out on New Year's Day. And ever since the calendar turned to 2026 and Keller found out, he's been on like a 120-point pace this year. Now, that's a smaller sample size. It's less than a month's worth of games, but he's been well over a point per game here in the month of January. And just looking at his game too, the points he's picking up, like the assists he's picking up, they're not just secondary assists where you pass it to somebody, you get off the ice, that guy makes a play with the puck and somebody else scores and boom, Bob's your uncle. You have an assist out of that play somehow. No, the assists he's creating are hard plays where he's like creating space for a teammate or winning a puck battle and setting up a teammate. At one point, he had multiple assists in 3 straight games for Utah here this month. And really the recent point streak that Utah had where the Mammoth won 8 out of 9 points in 9 straight, that was piloted by the captain, Clayton Keller. And really there's no better case in point than that night against Philly. Mammoth are down 3-0 against the Flyers. Keller helps lead them back. He scores with 34 seconds left in that game on just an incredible individual play, and then scores the OT winner as well. And I think that's so encouraging for me as a Utah Mammoth fan, is to see Utah's best players demanding the puck and being Utah's best players in the biggest moments. And Keller's one of those guys. Dylan Gunther is one of those guys. We saw huge plays from Schmaltz in that and Vejmelka in that win against Philly as well. But Keller took over that game, and that's hard to do in hockey, right? We might see AJ DeBonza take over a game for BYU. That's basketball. Hockey, it's a little bit harder to, take a guy one-on-one off the dribble, so to speak. Yeah. So it's great to see Utah's captain being as dominant as he has been in these late game moments, but throughout the last few weeks since he learned about his Team USA appointment as well.
Do you think, going back to your point about last season and the dramatic uptick in production, do you think the exit interview conversation, and probably conversations before that, and probably conversations after, are, hey, next season is your 27-year-old year. There are young guys in this team with a future, but you're in your prime, and you're the captain, and this team, at minimum, needs to go to the final day fighting for the playoffs, and they really need to be in. And individually, you want to be in the Olympics. And, the time is now. You need to be good from game one, both individually and for the group. This is it. There's an old cliche coaches love, the future is now. And for Clayton Keller, it feels like that's it. This is a big season right in his prime.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, because when we were hearing at the end of last year and at the start of this year in the offseason, we were hearing that, okay, playoffs are the expectation this season. We heard that from management. We heard that from, head coach Andre Tourigny, but we heard it from Clayton Keller a lot too. And it felt like he was right at the epicenter of those expectations. And there's no player that wants to be on a rebuilding team, right? I was talking with one of our broadcast cohorts, Tyson Nash, who has his own show, the Nashcast. It's an alternate feed, if you will, an alternate broadcast on SCG Plus. You can watch it the next couple nights here when the Mammoth are at home. But he had watched Clayton Keller for years in Arizona, and he made the point that and I think this applies to Keller, but I think it applies to a lot of guys who had been with Arizona before. They had big nights before, back with Arizona while the team was rebuilding, but they had a lot of big nights when, the season was essentially over. They're out of the race and there wasn't anything to play for.
Yeah.
And now in the crucial stretches of the season and the back half of the season, we're seeing Keller and those other guys have their big nights when it matters most and when really big points are on the line. And I think that's part of the excitement and part of the evolution of guys like Clayton Keller, who are now stepping up, not just in games where, okay, you get your points, you win the game, you feel better about yourself, but you're still going to miss the playoffs. No. Now these big games are coming during a push, coming when everybody is clawing and scratching for every possible point. I mean, that Philly team that Utah was battling against, like they're desperate for points too. It's a dogfight over in the Eastern Conference, and Utah just snatched 2 points away from them. And so it's been awesome to see, Keller's development as that big time player, as the captain, and as one of the leaders of this team.
It's always a positive when you win, obviously, no matter what you're doing. Do you take it even more of a positive that they're doing it without Cooley?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've got the trade deadline coming up in early March, right after the Olympic break. And Logan Cooley is essentially going to be Utah's trade deadline acquisition, right? You're gonna trade for your most exciting player is what it's gonna feel like. There's not gonna be another team. I got to be careful saying this. I don't think there's gonna be another team that could trade for a guy who's as young and dynamic and as promising as Logan Cooley. Like those guys just aren't up for trade, right? You find one of those guys, you hang on to him. And so the Mammoth are going to get him back. Utah is right now, I believe, 13-9-1 without Cooley. And it's crazy because when he went down, we were thinking like that could be the season right there. You lose your most dynamic centerman, a key position, like that could be your season. You just lost, football. I don't know, your middle linebacker, right? You just lost your starting point guard. Like that could be curtains right there. And this team is pulled together. You have to mention Nick Schmaltz if you bring up the play without Logan Cooley. Schmaltz is one of the team's top scorers right now. He's having a career year. He's on pace for close to 30 goals, which would be a career high for him. And he has excelled at both ends of the ice. Speaking of that Philly game, if not to keep going back to that, but we saw a great example of Nick Schmaltz's two-way ability. Did you guys see this clip? Garnet Hathaway for the Flyers has an open net, he's like, PK, you could have scored that goal. and he just gets hawked down by Nick Schmaltz on a furious back check with an empty net. There was no hope for Utah. The game should have been over right there, but it was like a LeBron chase down block, basically, that Schmaltz had, stripped the puck, boom, Utah goes the other way and scores. So you have to bring up him and his transition from wing over to center, which is not easy to do. And he stepped in beautifully. And I think now it creates the conversation when Cooley does come back. Do you keep Schmaltz in the middle? I think you have to. And then, he's him and Cooley are your two top centermen. And if Schmaltz keeps playing like he does, you feel really good about that combo down the middle. And center had been a position where Utah was a little bit thin coming into this season. But boy, you don't necessarily feel like it right now.
Next up, the back-to-back defending Stanley Cup champions, who, I might add if playoffs start today on the outside looking in. Do you think that's more a case of, man, these guys have played a lot of extra hockey because they've been in the finals 3 years in a row. They've had some injuries. Do you think all that's catching up to them, or it was just bad luck, they're healthy now, and look out, Utah's playing them at the wrong time?
Yeah, I think it could be a combination of all of that. I think all of that's kind of spot on. If you talk about the Panthers, the first thing you have to talk about is the injuries. They lost their captain, Alexander Barkov, who's known as maybe the best defensive forward in the game. He's a great two-way centerman. He got hurt before the season started, so they've been without him the whole year. They've been without Matthew Tkachuk as well. He's one of their leaders, one of their top scorers. He came back just a few games ago, so he's getting up to speed. They've had a bunch of other injuries as well. Seth Jones was a big trade acquisition for him last year. He's been hurt the last month or so, and he's actually going to miss the Olympics because of his injury, so a bummer for him. Brad Marchand, another acquisition from last year who was fit in perfectly with the Rats, as they call them in Florida. He had been missing for also about a month. He's back in the lineup. So they have Tkachuk and Marchand back. That's big for them. They've been winning a little bit here. They've won 3 straight now, and I think it's 6 of their last 8. But they're still on the outside of the cut line looking in, and it's not a case of them just earning points. They have to start passing people in the standings if they want to make the playoffs again with a chance to make a run. They're currently 4 points out of a wild card spot in the Eastern Conference, but they're 6th in their division. The Atlantic is absolutely brutal this year. So they've got to start passing people, but again, they've got 2 big pieces healthy. So it's going to be a really, really good challenge for Utah here tonight. You're playing the second game of a back-to-back. You're playing against a defending Stanley Cup champion in the Florida Panthers with a ton of guys that have that championship DNA. And you're coming in a little bit road weary as well. So great test for Utah tonight. Mammoth have never beat Florida going back to last year. They've played some good games against them. They lost by 1 goal earlier this year, but it's a tough road trip. It's a tough road trip for this team, and tonight's a big reason why.
When you said you were poolside a couple days ago, was it a Speedo Sunday?
Oh yeah, I had the leopard print out and had to get some sun on the thigh boards. I think you could see the reflection from the Hubble telescope. It was, I had a wide berth at the pool. I'll just say that.
Nobody looking for the chairs next to you.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Well, enjoy Florida while you can, because then it's on to you go to North Carolina, where I think it's like 40 degrees. So
yeah,
that's the end of the pool time right there.
40 degrees with the Metropolitan Division leading Carolina Hurricanes waiting for us. So we're doing as much damage as we can on the road trip, but we'll try and stay safe.
All right. Thanks, Mike. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right, there's a visual that we're not going to get rid of anytime soon. Good grief.
What's wrong with that?
When we come back, we're not going into it. We already know what's wrong with that.
You have a European style and flair?
When we come back, we got BYU fans analyzing what went wrong against Arizona. We'll get to that next. Stay with us. DJ and PK, the game of the night. 13th ranked BYU, number 1 ranked Arizona. Arizona builds a 19-point lead. BYU down 10 with a minute to go, cuts it to 1 and has the ball. But Robert Wright, the third shot, gets blocked, and they lose the game by 3. The feedback, tons of it from Cougar fans after the game. Robert, great rally. Anytime you're down by 19 and come back with a chance to win, it's a great rally.
Duh.
Philip, my take is that BYU's a terrible first-half team. They have been down to probably 10 or so teams that they've played all season at halftime. I know BYU was down big to Clemson, UConn, and last night to Arizona. I watched all those games, all 3 by double digits. I also know they were losing to Tech, Miami, Dayton, and TCU at halftime. That's 7 off the top of my head. Now, I know they come back to win 4 of those games, and there's probably other games as well. But my point is, if BYU plays with the intensity they do in the second half of games, they would be at worst a 1-loss team. Philip has had enough of this falling behind and bad starts and poor first halves. And that is where I think you look for trends, because in any one game, and you love this, right? You've preached both these things. Any one game, the call can go against you. Maybe a call went for you 5 or 10 minutes earlier. It's the kind of stuff that happens. I think last night was actually a great example of that. I thought they got some bad calls in the middle of the second half, and they got some help in the final minute. Maybe that stuff just cancels itself out. And then you're also the king of, hey, sometimes shots fall and sometimes they don't. But there's no reason to start as poorly as they've started against as many teams as they've started poorly against. If they're looking for an area where there's a pattern and there's something they can control, the effort and the energy they play with earlier in games be a big deal.
Well, maybe they're not good enough.
Maybe that's it, but there are too many comebacks. I think they are good enough.
And how much of that is on the other team taking the foot off the gas? Because they got a big lead. You're dealing with kids. You're not dealing with seasoned pros here.
I think Arizona is a team that we can point to and say, hey, they were up 10 with a minute to go and they thought it was over and they took the foot off the gas. I buy it last night. I don't buy it all season long because BYU's got DeBonsa and he's just so hyped and other kids want to play against him. I don't think they take the foot off the gas. I think they're all trying to show they know it's a big game for a lot of teams when they're playing BYU. I think there's a little bit of BYU is a lot better than a lot of other teams. And they know it, and that's why they start poorly, and it's a poor habit that really only bites them when they play the best teams, which we were talking about this earlier, and you're like, what's their record against ranked teams? And that shifts as teams falling out of the ranking, but right now it looks like they're 1-3.
There's no question that the deficits in the first half have been a pattern. You can't argue that.
I think it goes to another one of your theories, and I was just going to let you have it, but I'm going to switch over to Team Kinahan now. I think it might go back to the lack of depth here. Like you're asking guys to stay dialed in the whole time, which that is what we want, and that is what is expected, and they're being well compensated now, which we didn't used to say, but now we do. And so stay dialed in, but realistically, you think 7 really good players, which I think Arizona has, were able to give a more consistent effort than 3 really good players. Yeah, I'm not surprised. That makes perfect sense to me. Guys aren't locked in playing at their best all the time. You want it, you push for it, you coach it. The players, especially the lean players, should be trying to demand it of the other guys. But realistically, if you have 7 guys, you can sub a guy out who, for whatever reason, maybe it's a mental thing, Jerry Sloan, you say, you never know what's going on in someone's life. Maybe sometimes his shots aren't falling. Maybe it's a bad matchup for a guy as talented as one night. But over here, they got 3 guys. You're not pulling them from the game. That's crazy. The drop-off from DeBansa to the next guy is mammoth. Whereas Arizona, they got quality. It keeps going. And they always have a couple good players on the bench. And I think that may play into it. I mean, I think they need to make a focus of starting better. But a lot of times they do come back, and it doesn't matter. And they're riding 3 guys pretty hard here. So it's not ideal, and it is a problem. Philip, you're not wrong. But is it realistic to think these guys are going to bring it while Arizona's rotating fresh guys through against them?
They haven't played a game yet where it's really mattered.
That is the nature of college basketball. You've been beating that drum too. Like whatever you do now will be trumped. You said earlier this morning, and I didn't argue with you because you're spot on. If you peak and play your best basketball on January 26th, you're just set up for disappointment. Right. You're a guy or a team or whatever who can't coach in the biggest games or shoot in the biggest games or defend in the biggest games, or as a group, you aren't good enough in the biggest game. So you got to allow for this continued growth because if you don't get it, you're going to be furious. I mean, every fan base gets upset with that.
Right. So how do I know that Saturday in March they're going to come out slow? Because I'm assuming they're going to, on the Thursday in March, they're going to win.
Because you're looking at the first round game where they're a 2, 3, 4 seed, and they're going to beat a whatever that is, 15, 14, 13
They're going to roll
seed.
over that team, and then
Saturday they're playing the
Saturday is when it really matters.
Right. Saturday they're playing the teams that tend to be in the others receiving votes. That's where Wisconsin might pop up. Right. That's where they are now. That's where Utah State is right now.
So what are they going to do then? How do I know that they're going to start slow then? I don't.
Right.
And how do I know the following Thursday they're going to start slow? If they do, it could be devastating. But ultimately, that's when it matters the most.
Yep, that's
and
what
this
we
team
remember.
hasn't played a game where it matters the most.
The Utes went to the Final Four, and nobody cares what the regular season conference record was. I think they won the regular season title that year and went out in the first round of the conference tournament. It's all a footnote because what everybody remembers is winning the Sweet 16 game when West Virginia missed a shot right at the end and just pounding Arizona in the Elite Eight. I mean, these games just dwarf all the other stuff that happened.
So that's what they need to figure out is how to continue to progress. And they've got some holes, they've got some flaws, and how to cover up those holes and those flaws. I don't know that they can because they're not going to have another big man. That was a flaw in the roster construction. They need another big guy. They went into the season with one freaking big guy. they had to acquire a guy during the season.
On the waiver wire.
Yeah.
Which college coaches have joked about our entire lives. We don't get to do that. I've heard Kyle Whittingham say that a million times. He loved that line. And now all of a sudden, College basketball coaches do get to do that.
Yeah, they can. The G League or Europe.
Right.
We'll see if those loopholes get closed. But for now, so they acquire a guy who's in his fifth game, maybe sixth game, and so they've got these games here to work out. You want to win, of course. You want to win. You want to get the best seed possible. But I don't think it's catastrophic along the way. It may ultimately end up being, but that's where the coaching, and they've got a slew of guys sitting there all wearing the same color pullover, and so go to work on making that team better and fixing where it needs to be fixed. And they've got a little bit of time here. They still have a good 5 weeks before they really need to hone in on it. Can they do it? Maybe.
Time will tell.
Yeah. But, we're looking at Sweet 16, Elite 8. Yeah, I feel better about that. Final 4, not as good. Final 2, not as good. Final 1, not as good.
Okay, and a few years San Diego State was there, and I didn't see it coming at all. They blasted Alabama in the round of 16.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, it'd be an upset if you won, but upsets happen in the tournament all the time. So when I watched the game, I knew there was a chance. Never did I think they were going to run them off the court. And a year ago, there were all kinds of flaws with BYU basketball in early January. Now we're in late January. But they fixed a lot of them by the time they got to February and March. So we'll see if this team trends the way that trend. Every
team
going to have to
be upsets.
There always are.
You don't. Well, I'm talking about when they play the best of the best.
Oh, because you don't want to.
They're not good enough.
You don't want to be the 3 seed and have the region go according to form, and then have them have to beat the 2 seed in the Sweet 16 and the 1 seed in the Elite 8.
Right. I don't think they're good enough
to do that back to back.
A lot of these teams that are ranked ahead of them. But if they put together a sensational individual game on a one-game basis, they can do it. What is DeBonsa? What did he go? 6 of 15 against Tech, something like that. 7 of 6. I think it was 7 of 16,
really?
and then 6 of 24. Well, what is that in their 2 losses?
Let me get those. It was 6 of 17.
Right.
And he's 6 of 24. So that's 12 of 41.
No, that's not good enough.
Right.
And then he's got to find a way. Okay, you're the best player. You're going to be a top 2 or 3 pick, but don't force 1-on-5. Don't just think you need to start jacking it up. If the team gets itself into a 7-point deficit, you can see it in his face. Hey, we're down. I better start shooting more. And I'm going to run to the basket, and I'm going to go up against 7-2 guys that Arizona can throw out there, and I'm going to put up some stuff that isn't probable, and then I'm going to flail my arms and act like I am just stunned. It's preposterous that I didn't get the foul call. I saw that way too many times against Arizona. Yep. Stop doing that. Put your head down and get your butt back on defense. You didn't get the call. Live with it. Knock it off.
That is the part. And get back on defense. In these games they've lost, not only have there been scoring issues, and we always go to that, right? But if you're losing 86-83 and 86-84, don't you need a few more stops?
Let Kevin Young beg for calls. That's what that's what coaches do.
Right.
He needs to stop doing that right now. He went to the hoop several times. He got knocked down even, and he's extending both arms like, oh my gosh, can you believe it?
And if
I can believe it.
And if you're not getting the call and the ball's in bounds, now it's 5-on-4 the other way. And stop giving up 86 points and thinking you're going to win.
Let Kevin Young handle that. You don't need to show emotion like, where was the call? Who the hell are you to be thinking that you can get away with that?
He's the future number 1 pick.
Anything.
He's the star. And he's looked up to all these guys who do it in the NBA, and it's been a plague in the NBA for 40 years since Magic was accused of reffing his own games. I know that.
Put your head down, hustle back on defense, and get him the next time on offense. And if Kevin Young, I love it when he's a little dude, goes storming down with his hands behind his back so he's not flailing his arms to get a tee, and do the Bobby Hurley thing where you put your hands behind your back and you just go crazy. Go ahead. That's part of coaching, is to work the referees. I've got zero problem with him doing that. But the player Like, oh, woe is me. I didn't get the call. You went to the line 16 times and you didn't get the call? You want every call every time? You're not going to get that. But that's part of the maturation process. He's still a young kid, no matter how rich he is, right? And he'll learn that. And that's what Kevin Young needs to tell him, or one of the 47 assistants needs to say, hey, don't do that. Stop that. You're not going to get every call. You went to the line 16 times. What's the next guy who went to the line in that game? What's the next most free throws? You're a box score guy. I'm sure you got it up right now.
I don't. I'm calling it up.
Look it
That's why
up.
I'm
You should
pausing.
always have the box score.
No.
I count on you on the box score. I give you emotional, irrational feelings. You give me technical, black and white stats.
Braden Burry's 14 free throws. As far as BYU, he shot 16 of the 19. There were only 3 other free throws.
Yeah.
Cada shot 1 and Saunders shot 2. And
But these are all
that's it.
things that are in the developmental stage. And it won't manifest the ultimate level of importance until March.
It never does. But we want signs along the way.
Well, I think we're getting signs along the way. I mean, they had a 9-point lead against Tech, and it slipped away, obviously. And they had the ball with a chance to win the game. If you would have said to them yesterday morning, hey, you'll have a chance to win the game with 10 seconds to go, you've got the ball against Arizona, the number 1 ranked team who's won 21 games in a row now. At the point of that point, I think it was 20. And would you take that? I'm pretty sure I would say yeah.
Probably yes. Yeah.
The only thing you would want is Saunders in the game.
And he had fouled out, so he's not in the game.
Right, because you want another option.
Right.
And he's a very good option.
All right, DJ and PK. It's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Mark Durant, BYU basketball radio analyst, at the top of the hour to talk more about this game. DJ and PK, the Utah Jazz back in action tonight. We will get to that next. Stay with us.
This is JJ and Alex.
I got this. Joining us on the program right now, he's Bill Bender. He writes for Sporting News.
How do people replicate what Indiana's doing, or is it really that difficult to replicate what Kurt Signetti and Indiana has done in just 2 years?
People will try, but the thing for me is it's about Signetti himself. Yes, he worked the portal, but so has TCU and Louisville and Colorado. And yes, he rebuilt this program in a hurry, but I think a lot of it's a reflection of Kurt Signetti, the talent evaluator. One point I was trying to make is I think he's going to end up regretting saying Google me, because that's all people are going to want to know, right? And there's so much more to him than that. I don't think Indiana's going away. I think he's going to bring in this next portal class. They're going to recruit a little better. You're going to see it, because I think he's that guy as the coach. You know, if that continues, you're looking at a program that should be able to be pretty good next year.
Catch JJ and Alex afternoons from 3 to 7 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. PK, we got new rules. When can you sit a player? When can you not sit a player? It's a national TV game tonight. I think some of these rules kick in. And Markkanen might be back. Huh, how about that?
Well, so I'll give you Markkanen, but I'll take away the Nurk man, the triple-double machine, and Keontae George, which, is I get it. You're trying to lose, man. What's the point of saying, well, what are you doing? I know what they're doing. We all know what they're doing.
We do. We know
it's
exactly.
too important not to do it. And so George gets a rest. I mean, he's gassed. He played a basketball game 3 days ago. And
he might score 35 and they might win the game.
Okay, and now, Ace Bailey, here's your chance. There's a lot of FGAs.
He stayed up late last night watching BYU basketball play in person. So,
yeah.
Long commute home.
Yeah. Faux show. Who wouldn't need a break? I mean, we're just having fun with it. They're trying to lose, man. They got no choice. I don't blame the Jazz in the least. This is the system that was created. And until they change the freaking system, I don't want to hear jack squat out of the NBA office. All you got to do is make it everybody has the same equal chance. And that's it. You've done. It's over. You've eliminated the tanking.
Might have created another problem, but you've eliminated the tanking problem.
What problem?
that really good teams or L.A. or New York or whatever might get more picks than teams that are down.
Right,
and the whole
they can draft
conspiracy
Enos
theory.
Cantor. They can draft Adam Morrison. They can draft Marvin Bagley Jr. And they can draft DeAndre Ayton. It ain't about necessarily the location of the pick. It's about the player that you take with the pick. You understand me?
I do understand you. I actually thought of you while I was watching the BYU game last night. There was a free throw, commercial break or whatever, and I'm looking at my phone, and I don't know what's going on because I'm not following the NBA. The Jazz were off. But all I see is this tweet. J.J. Redick looks like he wants to strangle DeAndre Ayton in front of 18,000. And I thought, well, PK would be like, Ayton frustrated a coach. What are the odds?
Well, yeah, and you acquired him thinking he was going to be different.
No.
If a snake you pet a snake and it bites you, whose fault is that?
Yeah, it's a snake.
DeAndre Ayton is a dog. He's going to give you minimal effort, and he get a maximum deal.
He'll do just enough to show you that he has a lot of potential, but he will not live up to the potential.
Well, what's he in his 5th year in the league?
Yeah,
He's the same year as Doncic.
Yeah.
They got Doncic, so they should be happy.
Keontae, it all worked out for the Lakers. Keontae went for 43 points against Minnesota in the first game of the 6-game homestand. And if you play out the rest of the season, how many wins the Jazz can afford? They cannot afford 3 wins on this homestand. And they got Brooklyn coming up, which is obviously a winnable game. And they already beat Minnesota, which I think they thought they were going to lose that game. So they had Markkanen sitting, but they played Nurkic and they played Keontae.
He had the flu.
And
The statues never got sick.
Nurkic went
their doctors.
Nurkic went for a triple-double, and Keontae went for 43, and the Jazz won. And like, so that's why we're going to get what we get tonight.
Well,
so this
is Sensabaugh and Ace Bailey's opportunity to
unless Sensabaugh hits some shots, and if he gets hot, and then you're wondering why he's sitting, don't wonder why he's sitting. You'll know why. He hits 3 threes. They're going to have to get him out of there. Sensabaugh's feeling it.
And it stinks. I understand it, but they didn't create this system. They're playing by it, and this is the best way to get better.
They didn't create the system, and they didn't make the trade that put them in this predicament.
Well, they did make the trade that put
the Jazz did, but Austin and Danny didn't. As far as doing the bringing Favors back and then having to send him away.
Oh, okay, yeah, but they made the trades to get rid of the All-Stars.
Oh, yeah. That
so
part,
it's on them.
That part, yes. But I was thinking of the fact that this pick could go to Oklahoma City. That's on the Derek Favors deal.
That is true, yes. But even still, would they be trying to win games? With or without this protected pick, the possibility of losing it, would they be trying to win
that'd
games?
Be interesting
Does that
because
changes anything this year?
What wouldn't change is that this draft class is still very highly thought of. And so maybe it wouldn't change because they'd be thinking we have to increase our odds of getting one of the best 3 or 4 players in this draft.
You have to hit on 3 drafts. You have to hit on Stockton. You have to hit on Letter Carrier, and you have to hit on Thurl.
And that is how they got the thing rolling.
Yes. And then you go from there.
Yeah.
And the good thing about then you go from there, the Jazz have already gone from there. They have those types of players on the roster right now, I believe. They have those secondary guys who can help.
They need the star at the top of the roster.
Yeah.
They need their big 3. Right now, best case scenario, you can say it'll be Markkanen, it'll be Bailey, and it'll be Keontae.
Well, it depends on what level of star. If
and
you
how
have
far
an elite star, I don't necessarily know that you need a big 3.
Then you can do it with 2.
And then they've got rotational guys. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Yeah. Even the Warriors, who've had the last dynasty in the league, like Draymond was one of the big 3 because he did a pivotal role, but he's not your traditional star when you think of big 3. Now, his ability to match up with lots of different players helped them in the playoffs big time. He could defend lots of different types of players.
And they had a great big 2.
They had a great big 2, to your point. So their third could be unconventional.
It was elite.
Yeah.
Arguably the best backcourt of all time.
What
Although
Chris?
I'm preferential to Gail Goodrich and Jerry West.
You are not.
What do you mean I am not?
You're just
Okay,
saying that.
how about this one? And this is what I grew up watching.
Magic and anybody.
No, well, Magic and anybody.
It's Magic and whoever's next to him.
No, I'm going way back.
You're going to go to New York. That's before my time. I don't remember watching those guys, but I've read, I've looked at the stats, I've heard people talk about them.
I'm going Monroe,
I heard
Frazier.
Kevin O'Connor talk about them, and he said a lot of nice things about them.
I have a
He's
black
like,
and white TV as a 7-year-old.
Yeah. He was like, oh, those guys.
And I watched
those
them.
guys.
Yeah.
They didn't win championships by accident back in the day.
Right.
Were they together for the first one? Were they together for both of them or only the second one?
I
I'm not
believe
sure.
both.
Okay.
But I have double check.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the Pearl had to sacrifice his game. You want style, you had flair. That fella had it.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Yak, you want to give us some tickets that we should have already given away? Let's do it. Jazz Ticket Tuesday. Jazz Nets Friday night. Agor, say it with me, Yak. Dealman.
Dealman, yeah.
Dealman. There's an invisible O in there. Dealman. Agor, the former Cougar, is back at the Delta Center Friday night. We got 2 tickets now. We'll give away, if you don't win now, we'll give away another pair of tickets at 9:30. DJ and PK. Coming up next, we're talking Cougar hoops with Mark Durant. What are his takeaways after the Arizona game? Stay with us.